because of all the quarterbacks. He might have played the best game of all the quarterbacks between Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, and Drew Brees. He might have had the best all-around game of all of them. So my question is, can he replicate that? Now, I'm not saying play that type of game. I'm talking about, can he be as good, close to what he was in that wild card game against Tampa? Can he be that for 16 games? If so, they might have something. But when you look at the Giants, Skip, I'm just disregarding the Eagles because, Skip, they talk about bringing in a quarterback for competition. When have you ever heard somebody bring in a quarterback you believe in, you bring in somebody to compete with him for the job? So that lets you know that's why you created a situation you didn't have to. But the Giants, they believe in Daniel Jones. The Giants have a very good defense. Now, they're going to have to get a little bit more out of Evan Ingram.
Yep.
But they're also going to have to get more consistent play out of Daniel Jones. Skip, we've seen him in games. Unbelievable ability. He can run. He got crazy legs, Skip. Remember, he was running so fast.
Yep.
He's like a cartoon character, Skip. He was running faster than he was supposed to run, and he stumbled over his own feet.
Yep.
But big-time arm, can make throws. He's just turnover prone. And that's one thing that'll cause you to lose a lot of ball games. So I believe that's something that he can clean up. They're going to work with that to clean that up. Cowboys, Skip, what do we do? Okay, they changed defense again. So now they're going from a 3-4 to a 43. Your offense, your quarterback, what are you going to do about that? Is Dak coming back, Skip? Who's going to be your quarterback? Do we even know? Or is Dak going to be under the franchise tag again and be unhappy because he says that for 3 whole years, you've told me I'm your guy, that you can win a Super Bowl with me. I'm a franchise guy. Yet, here we are 3 years later, and I still don't have a long-term deal. I'm still playing on a tag, which means I need to prove to you that I can do it.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, as we sit here right now, Skip, the best team is Washington. Who I think will win the division, I'm going Giants.
Okay. Just for perspective, I love and hate this question like no question we've ever done in the history of Undisputed. Because just 1 year ago today, you and I are going back and forth about, is it the Eagles or the Cowboys? Or the Cowboys or the Eagles? And all of a sudden, we have gone 180 degrees from fly, Eagles, fly to cry, Eagles, cry. Sigh, Eagles, sigh. Because they feel like the biggest mess in the entire league right now.
They do.
They're either old or not good enough at nearly every position. And I don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. To your point, I've seen the ESPN report about will they try to trade for Mariota, bring him in to challenge Jalen Hurts with the 6th pick overall. We're going to talk about this a little later in the show. Would they go ahead and take a quarterback if one fell to them at 6? I don't know. They don't seem to know. They don't seem to have any direction. So I rank them dead last in the least. Dead last in the least. That's hard to do, right? And to your point, it feels like the Washington football team is going to go forward with Taylor Heinicke as its starting quarterback.
Right.
The guy who against the Buccaneers in the first playoff game in Washington made me feel like I should try my first Heineken because he was throwing for 306 yards against the same Bucs defense that terrorized Drew Brees the next week, that shut down Aaron Rodgers in the 4th quarter at Lambeau in the NFC Championship game, and that kept Patrick Mahomes out of the end zone for an entire Super Bowl game. He didn't even score a single touchdown against the Bucs defense that could not stop Taylor Heinicke. So I've now seen him twice. He played, remember, in the 4th quarter against Carolina in a game they had to win at that moment, and he looked pretty good. He lit it up. I don't know what's going to happen to Alex Smith. God bless him. I'm going to knock on wood for him. I don't know. He's obviously still there. He couldn't make it through last year. Can he muster up a year next year? I have no idea, but it feels like because they re-signed Taylor Heinicke that maybe he's the guy. But they gave him Shannon, they gave him 2 years at a total of $4.8 million. His cash next year is $2.5 million. Your starting quarterback is going to make $2.5 million when Dak Prescott wants 40-some million. I mean, it's lunacy to me what is happening in this division. And then to Daniel Jones, you know, he had a QBR total last year of 62, which ranked 20th in the league, and it was like not bad, not bad, not bad. And he did have some moments, but their defense was pretty good because they were 9th in points allowed. Okay, I'll give you that. That's a top 10 defense. Washington was 2nd in yards allowed, so that's a top 5 defense. So you're right. Those two teams should be ranked 1 and 2, Washington and New York. I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm done with picking my Cowboys. I'm done with having any confidence in my Cowboys because I told you 2 days ago on this show, in my Cowboy-loving life, I've never been more disappointed, more frustrated, more disillusioned by where my team is heading than I am right here, right now. I don't know where it's going. It was 28th in points allowed. It was all-time bad. It was the worst defense I've ever seen in my Cowboy watching life, dating back to 1961. That's how bad they were last year. Will Dan Quinn fix it? I doubt it. Is there a snap-your-fingers quick fix in free agency? I doubt it. Is Zeke ever going to look like 2016 Zeke? No.
No, not going to look like that.
I have a terribly troubled relationship between my quarterback and my owner. And my owner is still, the buck stops there. And when you alienate Jerry Jones, you got a problem. So I think that Dak has succeeded in alienating my owner. And he doesn't care. He's the owner. And his ego is bigger than his desire to win football games. So
the Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, it's bigger than the stadium. It is. It's way bigger than that stadium, and that's arguably the biggest stadium in the league. So my point is, where's that heading? Nowhere. I guess they'll tag him. I don't know how he's going to come back from a career-threatening broken ankle that required a second surgery. And if I look back at his last 17 starts, he's 6-11. Well, I'm done. I can't pick that. I can't rely. The offensive line got old and battered, and now I'm not sure it's any better than the Eagles' offensive line. So I'll give Dallas a tiny edge over Philly in 3rd to Philly's 4th, last in the least. And I cannot believe we're having this conversation now just 1 year later.
Because, Skip, you touched on it. If you look at the Cowboys, they're running into the same problems that the Eagles have. Their offensive line, you look at Lane Johnson, he's coming off a season-ending surgery. You look at Brooks, he had season-ending surgery. You look at Peters, he had surgery, but he was a mess to begin with.
I got it.
So now you got all these guys are getting older, and they're having surgery. You look at your guy, your left tackle, Skip. He missed the remaining of the season with a surgery. You look at Zach Martin. He missed the remaining of the season with an injury. Your center retired last year because of an illness.
And so, time out, my right tackle, who might be my best one, certainly my youngest one, Lyle Collins, had a career-threatening hip surgery injury that I don't know how it's going to leave him going into next year. I don't really trust it. So what? My worst lineman is my left guard, the former second-round pick, and he's the only one who's healthy. Right.
And so that's what Skip, that's why I think though the Eagles and the Cowboys rank near the bottom because the other team's offensive line is not nearly as in flux, and their defense is substantially better, or at least from what we've seen last year. Now, that's not to say that Dan Quinn, can they get any worse than what they were last year, Skip? No, I don't believe they can get any worse. But how much better with the same personnel are you going to be? Now, this personnel was under Chris Richard, and people didn't like the defense that they played then. It's going to be the same defense. Single high, cover one safety. Okay, edge guys, go eat.
Okay, and will DeMarcus Lawrence ever live up to $20 million a year? I don't have any proof of that. Will Jalen Smith ever figure it out? I don't know. Will Leighton Vander Esch ever stay healthy for a whole year? I doubt it. History is now screaming no.
Yes, right. What D-Law did have some of his best years in this defense
Yeah.
as a 43 defensive end. Get in the wide 9, go get the quarterback. He's not a stand-up skip. He's not a stand-up linebacker like you see JPP, like you see Shaq Barrett. He's a guy that needs to have his hand in the dirt. So we're going to get an opportunity to see. He's going to get an opportunity to rush the passer. He's not going to drop in coverage nearly as much. He's going to be trying to feast on the quarterback. That's what Dan Quinn's defense does. But I think the thing is, Skip, that you fell in love with is that you think the Wolf Hunter and Jalen Smith are going to be